I still wanted to come live so we could do a little bit because I have a lot to discuss. So we'll just get started today. And if we are not able to finish what we have to discuss, we can join next week and continue from there. Today, we're going to be discussing a very important topic, as always, um, warrants. Does ICE need a warrant before they can arrest you or before they can question you? What's the law on all of this? Let's get started. I'm going to be sharing my um, my screen. Please, if you can hear me and see me, please type in USA or just drop an emoji of the US flag. Today, we're going to likely do about 30 minutes and then we can hop off. Please drop USA. I'm not seeing any viewers on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I can see on TikTok and Instagram. Please drop USA so that I can be sure you can hear me and see me well. Okay. All our devices are connected. We're going to be talking about ICE arrests. There seems to be a problem. I'm not seeing any comments on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Please, if you guys can hear me, type USA so we can get started. Or drop the US flag. Please don't make me talk too much, guys. I couldn't sleep all night. I have a really so much is happening with my throat, ear, no, not my ear, throat and nose. So please drop USA if you can see me or hear me and don't make me struggle to communicate. Okay. All right. Let's jump into it. So I got this document, very helpful, that we're going to be using from the Office of Attorney General for the state of Massachusetts. And it's, a Know Your Rights document, very helpful. I went through all of it and I found it really well prepared. And so we're going to be using that to refer, we'll be discussing that and showing you guys what are your rights, what can ICE do, what can ICE not do, what are you supposed to do, what are you not supposed to do, so that you are not in trouble or you don't find yourself in trouble. Now, let me start by saying that there's a difference between an immigration stop and an ICE arrest, okay? And so we'll be looking at what kind of warrant, if any, does ICE actually need in each situation. When we talk about a stop, it could be called sometimes uh, an investigative stop or a brief detention or a detentive stop. A stop can happen when ICE temporarily detains you to ask questions or to investigate your immigration status. And ICE cannot just stop you based on the color of your skin alone or based on the fact that you're speaking accented English or you're speaking English with an accent like I do. They have to stop you or based on what is called reasonable suspicion. They must have reasonable suspicion to stop you. That means specific facts that suggest that you may be violating immigration law or you are here in violation of immigration laws. It's not just a gut feeling or a vibe or like this guy has dark skin, he's dressed in African clothing like batik or just African wear, and he's speaking English like a Nigerian or like a Ghanaian. It cannot be based on those things. Well, if you guys remember, recently we did a live video on the case of Noem versus Vasquez Perdomo. The Supreme Court gave an interim order on this case in September 2025. This was based on the case of the roving patrols where the judge Mami Wusi in was it Chicago or California? I can't remember the state, but where some of the ICE officers were going around to places where like car washing bays or car washes, construction work sites, just places where the workers earn very low wage. And once they saw the color of your skin, or you spoke English with an accent, or you spoke Spanish, then they would stop you. The district judge, Mami Wusi, had ruled that it was unconstitutional. And then it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, according to Kavanaugh J, said that those are actually relevant factors based on common sense. Based on common sense, those are relevant factors that can lead to or contribute to reasonable suspicion of illegal presence in the United States. That was a very unfortunate decision. And we went through the 31-page decision. Now, today we're looking as a, we're still discussing what does it mean for ICE to have reasonable suspicion, because that's what they need in order to stop you. They have to have reasonable suspicion. Case law has said time and time again that you cannot just say that based on somebody's color, based on the color of their skin, that they're likely an immigrant and so they may be here in the US unlawfully. That's not fair. It has to be based on reasonable suspicion, and it has to be based on, a number of specific facts that could that could suggest that you are actually violating immigration law. So for ICE to stop you, they need specific facts suggesting you might be violating immigration law. Now, an arrest, on the other hand, is when ICE takes you into custody and restricts your freedom. That requires a higher legal standard because obviously your freedom is at risk. Everybody has a right to move around. So if you are detained, then ICE better have a solid reason for detaining you. And so for an ICE arrest, ICE requires something called probable cause. Probable cause is a higher legal standard than reasonable suspicion. ICE must have evidence or some type of footing to stand on that you are removable under immigration law. Maybe you've overstayed your visa, or perhaps you enter the US without inspection. All right, so let's go into my document. Oh, I should not have been sharing this document all along because I was not using it, but that's fine. Let's go into it. Now let's start here. What kind of immigration enforcement does ICE engage in? Let's look at the types of enforcement that ICE engages in. The first thing is that ICE enforcement activity targets people that ICE suspects they are subject to deportation or removal from the United States. This can include people who've come in on visas or had some type of permission to be in the US, and that permission has elapsed. Either it has elapsed or it has been revoked or it's been violated. For example, you have you are on a student's visa, you have an F1 visa, and your service record has been terminated because you violated it, for instance. ICE can target you. You come in on a visitor's visa, like a B1, B2 visitor's visa, you have overstayed your visa, you can be a target of ICE enforcement. Now look at this. Number one, the people that ICE can target are people who enter the US without authorization. You come in without inspection. Those are the people that are called EWI, entry without inspection. They don't come in with a parole, they don't come in with a visa. They just enter, they jump a wall or cross a border, and the government does not know that they are here in the United States. The second category of people that could be targeted by ICE are the people who have overstayed their visas. Come in with a B2 visa, you come in with a student visa, you are done with studies, you are out of status, or you came in with a B2 visa, you were given 6 months, you've been here 3 years, you've overstayed. You are a target for ICE enforcement. Third is people who have been ordered deported or removed in the past. So you've been ordered deported, but you never left the US. You are a target of ICE enforcement. You have a deportation order on your head. And so as soon as you're found, ICE can actually effectuate that deportation order. The fourth group of people are people who are accused of violating immigration conditions, like failing to check in with ICE. Some people have to do ICE check-ins regularly based on various factors. Sometimes they are ordered deported, but perhaps there's no travel document to take them back home. And so they have to do constant ICE check-ins. And if you violate that condition, you're supposed to check in with ICE at a particular time. You don't appear, or you're supposed to have an ankle monitor. You could somehow take it off or lose it or whatever. Those are, you violate those conditions. Now, these are typically civil and they're not criminal violations. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let me see here. Okay. Now, ICE enforcement actions generally take one of two forms. The first is what we call the custodial enforcement. That's where ICE can arrest a person. And it means that you are likely already being held in custody. For example, your state police or your local enforcement agency, you're in the, you're being held maybe because you were driving without a license, or DUI, or you hit somebody who's dead now, and so you are being held in custody. Now, this frequently occurs after ICE is able to access arrest information. ICE has law enforcement databases that they have access to. One of them is called National Crime Information Center. So they can take a look at who has been arrested because they violated some type of state law, local law, or county law, or some type of law in their neighborhood or community. The second type is the Criminal Justice Information Services. ICE is able to review that to see who is here unlawfully after they are being held by local enforcement agency. Now, because ICE can access information after fingerprints taken by police are entered into the AFIS system, automated fingerprint identification system, even a minor encounter with local law enforcement may trigger ICE involvement. Here's one thing that many people may not realize. Even if your local law enforcement agency picks you up wrongfully, you didn't do anything. By the time they've booked you, taking your fingerprints, and by the time there's a hit with ICE where they can see that you are out of status, even if the local law enforcement agency, like your state police or local police, they let you go. Unfortunately, this could already trigger ICE involvement, and ICE can pick you up because they've already gotten the signal that you're here unlawfully. Now, even if the criminal charges are later dropped or they're never even filed, ICE would already have they have their involvement may have been triggered because they are alerted to the fact that you are not here lawfully. Okay, which is why it's important that if you are undocumented, you should not even let anybody file any accusation or claim against you. Because if your wife or girlfriend calls the police and tells them that you slapped her and you never touched her, by the time you'll be done with defending yourself, ICE would have already been alerted that you are in the US unlawfully, and that could trigger a lot of events. Facebook, if you guys can hear me and see me well, please drop USA. Let me be sure you guys can hear me and see me real good, okay? Please. I just see YouTube comments from YouTube. All right, let's go. Now, at large or field enforcement is the second type of ICE enforcement. Here, this is where ICE can arrest people in the community. This is what we're seeing a lot of with the videos that are trending on social media. There's a lot of at large ICE arrests. They are in the local communities, at workplaces, in the streets, arresting people. And I mean, there has been a lot of know your rights educational sessions. And so ICE has seen that going into people's homes is not working because we've been able to educate many people about the fact that you have the right to say no when ICE tells you to open your door if they don't have a judicial warrant signed by a judge. And so they are like, okay, we're not going to go into people's homes now. We're going to catch them in the streets because in the street, they don't need a warrant. And we're going to take a look at all of that. Now, the second, okay, so let's go here. Where ICE agents arrest people in the community, such as in homes, workplaces, or public spaces. During these operations, ICE may also make so-called collateral arrests or other individuals they encounter of other individuals they encounter who are suspected of violating immigration laws, even if those individuals were not initially targeted for enforcement. Okay. The second question is, does ICE need a judicial warrant to arrest someone? The simple answer to that is no. They have the power to arrest someone without a warrant. Now, look at this. Although ICE agents sometimes arrest people based on criminal warrants, which are issued by federal courts based on probable cause that a person committed a crime, this type of enforcement is relatively uncommon. Some ICE arrests are conducted using administrative warrants, which are issued by ICE officers. Okay, now it goes on to this. We have administrative warrants such as the Form I-205 issued after a person has received a final order of removal. And the Form I-200 is when ICE believes someone is removable from the US. Now, in other cases, right, ICE agents, they don't need either a judicial warrant or administrative warrant to carry out an arrest, including if they have probable cause to believe that one, a person is in violation of federal immigration laws, and two, the person is likely to flee or run away before a warrant can be obtained. And so, if the ICE officer believes that you are in violation of immigration law, meaning that, for example, you are here without valid immigration status, and you are likely to run away before they're able to get a warrant, then they can arrest you without a warrant. And so that's what most of the ICE officers are using. So long as they have probable cause to believe these two things, then they don't need warrants to arrest you. All right, let's see. We're about to end very soon, unfortunately. When can ICE enter people's homes? We've done all these things. Now look at this. What rights do the arrested or detained and bystanders have? Okay, let's look at the rights of the person who's being arrested. First of all, if you are being arrested or detained, you have the right to remain silent. We've just posted a video on our social media platforms, and I hope I can do this, but I have thought about recording a video to explain what that gentleman did wrong. If you haven't seen it, once we're done with this live session, be sure to check out our I think it was the video that was posted right before this live session. The man is from Guatemala, and he somehow was he was stopped by ICE. He was in a car. And then as ICE asked him, what status do you have? He's like, oh, I have my driver's license and an ID. And they're like, where are you from? Or something like that. And he says, I'm from Guatemala. you have the right to remain silent. Later on, this guy in the car, while they were going to the ICE detention, he's like, "Oh, I have the right to remain silent." When he was asking some questions, dude, you just told them where you're from. People just say, "I have the right to remain silent," but then they still give away certain answers. You should not be telling an ICE officer where you're from. You have the right to remain silent, especially when you are undocumented. Of course, if you're a US citizen, it's in your interest, commonsensically, to let them know I'm a US citizen. If you're a green card holder, to let them know you're a green card holder. But when you don't have status, you don't want to tell them where you're from. Okay, because when you go to immigration courts, for example, INA 240 proceedings, that's the removal proceedings where they are trying to deport you. The government has the burden of proving that you are an alien or you are not a citizen of the United States. If they are not able to do that by a certain legal standard, then the case can be terminated from court. And so you don't want to make their work easy by telling them already, "Oh, I'm from Guatemala." No, if you are exercising your right to remain silent, exercise it properly. You should not be telling them where you're from because it's your right. It's not illegal. You're allowed to remain silent. Okay. So if you're doing that, make sure you're doing it properly. You don't say some things and then say, "Oh, I have the right to remain silent," especially when you're telling them where you're from. You make their work easier. So the person being arrested, you have the right to remain silent. Zip it, especially when you don't have status. Don't make their work so easy for them by telling them, "Yeah, I'm from Guatemala. You can deport me to Guatemala." It's very easy. Then they can know exactly where they'll send you. So be careful of that. Um, they do not have to answer questions about their immigration status, citizenship, where they were born, or how they entered the United States. Don't tell them how you entered the US, your immigration status, where you were born, because all those are things that the government has to establish when they start removal proceedings against you. If they are not able to establish that, then the removal proceedings against you can be dismissed because they have that burden that they have to discharge. Okay, so don't go blabbing and telling them, "Oh, I was born in Guatemala, I was born in Nigeria," and then you next you say, "Oh, I have the right to remain silent." So are you remaining silent, or you are giving them the answers they need? And the standard that the government has to meet is by clear and convincing evidence. It's let me see, hold on, let me double check the legal standard for INA 240 proceedings when you are in immigration court. The first burden of proof is on the government, and you should make sure that what you're doing is not just making their work very easy. You're following the law all right, but you don't make it really easy for them. Let's see here. Okay, I'll get to it. Let's move on. Now, the second thing is that you have the right to hire or speak with an attorney. You have the right to hire or speak. The government doesn't have the responsibility to assign you an attorney, unlike criminal proceedings where you can be assigned a public defender. Okay. When it comes to immigration, that's your own cost. You can decide to get a pro bono attorney, but you have the right to speak with a lawyer. Okay. Yeah, by clear and convincing evidence, for example, if you're already admitted into the United States, um, if you came in on a visa, you've overstayed, and you are you are you came in on a visa, you've overstayed your visa, and you are, stopped by ICE and they want to send you to immigration courts, they have to prove by clear and convincing evidence that you are deportable. You are deportable. All right. Now, the third thing you have to notice that you have the right to refuse to sign any document. We've said I've recorded several videos on this. ICE is using some of these tactics in some of the detention centers, pre-prepared forms, and they'll tell you that, oh, I waive my rights to fight my case. I want to be deported. I don't want to see an immigration judge. And they let you sign, and people are signing and they're just getting deported. And they tell you that, oh, if you sign, then we'll release you from detention. You don't sign a document that you don't understand. Even if you think you understand what it means, make sure you speak with an attorney before you do that. Now, what are the rights of bias? Let's talk about this. People being questioned, arrested, or detained by ICE, please never give false information or fake documents. Because if you do so, that can result in criminal charges against you, additional criminal charges against you. That's double trouble. If you know that you are stopped by ICE, you have a fake social security card on you, please never, ever, ever give it to, or a fake green card, never, ever give it to the ICE officer, because you want to get out of trouble. You are going to, get yourself deeper in trouble. Right of bystanders. Bystanders, you have the right to observe. ICE officers, you have the right to record the encounter from a reasonable distance. Please don't interfere with what the ICE officers are doing. Second, you can ask the ICE officers questions. Even the ICE officer can also ask you questions, but you also have the right to remain silent. You should not be saying that, oh yeah, he's my work colleague, he doesn't have papers. He actually came into the country last year and he's been using fake documents to work. That's not something you want to say for someone. You just have to be silent. You have the right to remain silent. You are not under obligation in law to respond to an ICE officer about someone else. Bystanders are not required to answer questions about their own immigration status or the status of another person. Now, if ICE is busy arresting someone and ICE asks you, oh, well, what's your status? You don't owe them any explanation. You have the right to remain silent, especially when you are undocumented. Obviously, if you are documented, you want to say that because you just want to avoid unnecessary detention as a matter of practicality. But if you are undocumented, then you want to remain silent, because at the end of the day, you have the right to remain silent. Okay. Third, bystanders have the right to refuse entry. If ICE agents approach a home where a bystander resides, the bystander can refuse entry without a judicial warrant. If ICE doesn't have a warrant, you can refuse entry. If you are alleged to have obstructed or to block or impede, or you hit an ICE officer, assault him, throw an apple, or whatever you're holding at him, you can be criminally prosecuted. So please be careful of that. Okay, let's go here. This is very important. I want to go over this with you before I leave, because this, you guys have to know about it. What questions can someone ask if they are being arrested or detained? During an ICE enforcement action, it may be difficult to know what's happening or why. You can calmly ask the right questions. That could help. ICE is not required to answer your questions, but you should still ask these questions if you want. Am I being detained? Am I under arrest? What is the reason? Do you have a warrant? Can I see it? Where are you taking me? What agency do you work for? What are the names? What are your names and badge numbers? How can my family or lawyer contact you? Now, as what, if anything, can bystanders do to assist someone being arrested? If you're a bystander and you see ICE arresting somebody or detaining somebody, as long as you're not obstructing or impeding the enforcement action, you can help the person be targeted by asking the ICE agents questions. You can ask, why is this person being detained? Why is he under arrest? What's the reason? Those are some of the questions you can ask, and you can document the enforcement action either by taking notes or you can record a video. I know it's easier for many people to record videos. Record the video, whip out your phone and certainly record the video. And then two other very important questions you can ask are: number one, do you have an immigration lawyer I can call for you? The person is being detained or arrested. Ask the person if they have an immigration lawyer you can call for them, which is why it's very important for everybody, if you are undocumented, to have your record or information with an immigration lawyer you can trust. Make sure that you're not the only one who has access to the immigration lawyer. The immigration lawyer has access to close family members of yours, their contact details. Okay, so that if somebody calls your immigration lawyer and says, Elma is being detained, the immigration attorney can call Elma's cousin or Elma's husband and say, I just got a call, Elma has been detained, let's spring into action. And then the second question you can ask the person being detained is there a family member you would like me to call? Can I call your employer? Is there anybody you want to know about this? Then the bystander can take the phone number or information and contact on your behalf. What happens after an ICE arrest? Again, if you look at that video we shared, you see that if you're arrested, you are usually led to a local ICE office or a processing center for booking. It was in the car that this gentleman was saying a bunch of things about what was going through his mind. Watch that video we shared on our social media pages. Now, look, after you are arrested by ICE, you will most likely be taken to a local ICE office or processing center for booking. Over there, ICE will generally take your fingerprints, photo, biographical information. ICE may also ask the person who's been arrested to sign documents. That may involve the waiver of important rights or lead to deportation without a hearing. You have the right to remain silent. You should not sign any documents you don't understand. They can issue a notice to appear, meaning you will be going to court for removal proceedings. Once you're arrested, you can be detained anywhere in the US. Usually it will be where you are arrested, and then ICE can transfer you quickly to another remote part of the country, very far away from your family. And that's where the problems begin, because you can be transferred from Virginia to Louisiana or from New York to Kentucky, very far away from your family. But there's an ICE online detainee locator system where we can find out where you're being held. And sometimes it takes several hours for ICE to enter the person who has been detained information into the system. So sometimes immediately after the arrest, you'll not come up on the ICE online detainee locator system. It will take hours for it to be updated. All right, and when you are detained, you can sometimes request a bond hearing before an immigration judge. It's discretionary. And if you can demonstrate that you're not a flight risk, you won't run away, or you're not a danger to your community, then you could likely be granted bond. And while you're in court, you can apply for several reliefs like asylum, parole, cancellation of removal, withholding of removal, or adjustment of status if you are eligible. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. We couldn't go into some of the new policy updates or decisions for today. Unfortunately, I'm sure you guys can hear. In fact, I wanted to discuss with you guys this other document, also highly insightful. This is a legal sidebar by Congress. This was just released in June 13, 2025, about ICE arrests, what to do, your rights. ISIS, yeah, authority to arrest, detain. Very, very insightful legal sidebar that I had wanted to go over with you. Fourth Amendment right. But we don't have time. Unfortunately, I have to go. Um, we could probably get into it some other time. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish I could take questions, but I will not be able to take questions today. Please bear with me. Just share your questions here, and maybe next week we can try to answer them. But the best way is to actually contact the office line, and then you can have a one-on-one consultation with one of our attorneys, and we'll review your case and give you the help that you deserve. Okay, please contact us 802-780-0564. We work with clients in all 50 states in the United States and handle all immigration matters. We will be happy to assist you. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend and take care. Bye bye. Oh, guys, if you haven't hit that follow button, please do so. Okay, follow us for all your immigration updates. I'll see you soon next week, God willing. Bye. Take care, guys. Thank you.